to order at 7:04. Welcome. We have a couple people that are out ill, and we couldn't do a last minute Zoom today because Beth started her new job and she's not here to do the logistics of making it all happen. So hopefully we'll be ready for the next time when we'll be able to zig when we need to zig at the last minute.
I almost didn't make it.
Congratulations.
I was actually planning on zooming from another place.
Well, that's just it, to get either we know whose Zoom account we can use, because I know their passwords and all this kind of things involved
yeah.
that, and I'm not real sure.
Anyway, but I made it.
Where, yeah.
I was early too.
So,
Okay.
Ken, you're up.
Treasurer's report. Only two trivial changes. One is the date. This is April. The other change I made was I put the article numbers from the FinCom meeting on the grant the grant warrants that we had. So that's it. So just to summarize where we're at, let's see. We've had $130,000 worth of bond payments, $447,000 worth of grants, including the ones that were going up for this meeting, and $24,000 that we set aside for expenses. So if everything gets approved that we submitted for which we submitted articles, we will have $718,000 left to use in October. Okay. With one good caveat is that by October we'll start to see the results from accounting of the closure of fiscal 2025. So we'll get the estimates we made for revenue will be exchanged for they'll be corrected for reality, and that has always been actually a material improvement over how much that we estimated. It's ranged from like $75,000 to $200,000, and the average over the 5-year running average of the upticks are about 120. So we can expect to have some material improvements on that that we'll see by October. So we're in good shape. We can do anything that comes in front of us.
Relatedly, did FinCom yet vote on supporting any of these warrant articles from us?
Actually, they
They
all
seemed very receptive and really didn't have questions.
Right.
They were all like, these are pretty standard. They didn't,
Yeah, the questions were minor, and they accepted the answers. Then we continued on. There was no negative-oriented questions.
Okay. Yeah,
they were okay with that. I mean, I explained the Congregational Church and that this was a continuation. That didn't throw a wrench in the works. And then the park, it seems like they did ask a question about that, but it wasn't, relating to the validity of it, but just maybe more explanation. But again, just describe what the project was. Oh yeah, that's great. Because I think, how long has it been there? We said, well, I think they said it's way past its serviceable life, kind of. It's a park that needs to be, structures need to be replaced. And then all the others were just our standard warrant articles.
typical warrant articles. Yep.
Right, which are formulaic.
Okay.
I'll move that we approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
in favor? All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. Another casualty of the transition is we weren't able to get the minutes done and try to get the logistics of getting her to be able to print out this copier here. So we'll do those at the next meeting. The next item, and there were in the packet, the Affordable Housing Trust had a draft of the agreement, and then Ken found a couple of typos and there were a couple other things that he had questions about. So Ken, I'll let you
Okay, so,
share.
I guess I'll just, where did I have that?
Well, he's pulling that
Oh,
up.
here
Can
it
I
is.
ask-
Yeah, here we go.
While he's pulling that up, can I ask a quick
I got it.
question? Were you able to purchase any of the equipment we?
Yes.
Ooh, looks nice.
And a printer,
That's-
Excellent. Okay, cool.
and a docking station.
Okay, so this is the grant agreement that we received from, I guess, we received from the Affordable Housing Trust. So it looked pretty good, but as scanning through it, I noticed that right here, there was a typographical error. There's an extra period in there. It probably shall be submitted well, anyway, that isn't, it's missing something. And there's a T missing on this word here. So that's easily explained. Then moving down, I noticed two errors of which I think are of substance. And this one here, there's the word "and" is missing. And it says here, yes. Oh, no, excuse me. This is when you're talking about the trust agrees to meet from time to time with the CPC. And when we sent it, approved it and sent it to back to the AHT, we had a phrase in here called no less than annually. And in this version here, that was omitted.
So the substitute, instead of to meet from time to time, to be to meet no less than annually.
Yeah, well, no, excuse me, from time to time, and then in addition to that phrase, we said, oh, but no less than annually.
Okay, but no less than.
Yeah,
Okay.
the but is implied.
Is it okay to? So are you not okay with how it's worded there from time to time with the CPC, or it's designate upon reasonable request, and we just request it annually because we might want it more than annually.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't, it says, well,
What are your thoughts, everyone?
I will say I vaguely remember us discussing this in the past, and I thought our takeaway was, especially if the Affordable Housing Trust will be submitting a application every year as well, we'll have that annual chance anyway, and from time to time and upon reasonable request was enough to cover it. That was my memory of our past discussion. I could be misremembering that entirely, but that's what I thought we said.
And just one question, if we add that in there and we don't meet, what, does that void this agreement?
So I've
I
already
don't
asked.
think, no, I don't think that terminates the agreement. That's not,
But I mean, I don't know that.
There's other things in this agreement that are going to be very difficult to achieve as well that we've
Yeah.
already said won't be voided. The agreement.
Yeah.
This is really just to dot an I, cross a T. I'll say the first two are Scrivener's errors that I feel comfortable, changing without bringing it back to the trust. But if we do a bigger change like this, it would have to go back to the trust, and they already voted on this. So if we can live with this one, I would prefer that, but I don't have a problem bringing it back to the trust.
I could live with it. I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just.
Okay, but the next one I think is more important, and it's small but important. Right here, this right here, there's a missing word and that changes the meaning without that word.
What?
Without that word, it means that the approvals are for ensuring the permanent enforcement. With the word "and" in it, they have to get approvals for those from the EHOC.
as well
You have to approve the AHR, and also you need to ensure the enforcement. Now, ensuring the enforcement isn't an EOHLC issue.
and also with the wording being like this, it makes it seem as though to enforce it, you have to get approval. It makes it seem like one.
Right, they're not. You don't have to go to them to approve the enforcement. You have to go there to approve it, and you have to enforce it.
I think that does make a difference, because it implies that EOHLC is, if they get the approvals from them, then they've done everything. Because they're the ones holding all the cards, and they're only holding one
Yeah.
card in the hand. And
Missing the and changes the meaning to being something that it doesn't mean.
So looking at this, I think I agree with what everyone said so far, that end is important here. It also feels like that was probably just a typographical error, but it does change the meaning, so it is important.
So I have two. We've had so many versions of this grant agreement. I have two in my hands, one with the and one without.
the
So
one that is draft,
no. I know. I'm just saying these could have even been from the Affordable Housing
The
Trust.
one we sent them has the and.
Right. So the one
I know that for a fact.
and this one's So it's been there with and without it. First these two in my hand. So
I'm not sure when it was without it.
like
It was without, this
and this one right here.
this phrase, this was changed by by the thing we sent them. Let me see if I can
almost
find
is
that.
it's hard to tell which document is owned by us and which is owned by.
And that's all I'm trying to
Because
say.
they look the
is that
same on the front.
Right, there've been so many
Yes.
versions of this, and my hope when we all met together was to make sure this all
Right.
got ironed out.
That
And the
it
fact that
was.
it keeps finding these, I will say
Okay.
this much: the trust doesn't really give as much input as Ken has been giving. So, Ken, if there's any way you can
He's
just,
in law school, did you know?
I did not.
I'm
But
kidding.
oh, okay. I was like, well, but Ken, could you maybe just attend one of the Affordable Housing Trust meetings so we can just
Sure.
be all on the same page
Sure.
and
So,
it gets the
so
version?
we've only
here?
got two things. We have two things that are truly typos and one that may be a typo.
Right. And
So the only thing that needs any kind of discussion is on item 11, that after EOHLC to add the word and. That's the only discrepancy between the two agreements that we can live with, and then the two typos.
Yeah, the two
those are
typos for sure.
No
That's
big
in-
deal.
Yeah.
But that's, and on paragraph 11 is the only thing that we need to hammer out, and then
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah, this is the one that we sent them. Where was that?
11.
So
11.
do we want, well, we discuss this a little bit more if we need to, but do we want to,
Yeah, we said put that and in there. That's what we said. When we sent them, we said put that and in there.
so
And
probably
they didn't put it in.
do we
probably
want to
missed.
approve this with the and, if we approve with the and?
Yeah.
And then that way, it's, once you guys.
I don't want to do that. And
okay,
here's
you-
why I
you
don't
want
want to do
it-
that.
You want it coming back.
Right, because the trust has already approved one version that's
Yeah.
now being sent back. So let's not approve it yet, because we really thought we had the clean, great version
Yeah.
that we approved at the trust, which clearly wasn't the
Yeah.
case. I don't see the trust having an issue, or
Right.
they really aren't giving this level of input at all. So I think it should be no problem, but I don't want to guarantee that and vote here.
Sure, gotcha. Okay.
So
Right. Wouldn't just, I'm happy to defer to your opinion, Colleen, on this, but wouldn't it be just simpler if we're happy with this with the end and it's basically almost the exact same agreement, just to vote yes, so that when it goes to the trust, that's the end of it, rather than having to come back here another time?
I don't know anymore. I've lost my mind when it comes to this grant agreement, to be honest with you.
That might, that could
Whatever.
work.
Let's vote on it. That's fine.
So
I move
oh, go ahead.
we accept.
Any further discussion? Anybody else? Okay.
I move that we accept the Community Preservation Committee grant agreement with the Town of Grafton Affordable Housing Trust as amended.
But we will, we'll accept, we'll give up the,
As amended and discussed.
As
Right.
amended.
Yeah, number 8 isn't included in that amendment. It is not there right there, so it's fine. So the Scrivener's errors in the earlier one, and then number 11 specifically to include and.
okay,
Yes.
right. So we can say with the changes in, the third and fourth whereas and item 11.
Okay, so I have a motion and a
Second.
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously.
So to go forward with this, Colleen, what should we do? This document that we're tabbing through right now is in the distribution.
Yeah. So there's two in the distribution.
Right,
So
I
let's-
believe, so the question is, you kind of want to make sure we know what the comments are.
Yep, so I'm totally good with that, but can you just go to the packet and show me which one you want? Because
The
there's a
second
grant
one.
agreement and then there's grant agreement.
It's
Okay,
grant
so-
agreement, grant agreement.
That's the one I should open.
Yeah, now,
And
let me
that's the
just,
one I
yeah,
will.
okay, I'm gonna download that to my
The
computer right
one
now and make sure that
that
that's.
says draft
It
is the
is,
one
it
that
says what it
says.
says.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is see
Oh,
how
it
it's
So
two
Does
here.
it, does it not
Maybe-
show?
In the
It doesn't say
future,
draft.
we can track
Okay.
our
Yeah,
revisions.
version 1, version 2.
Yeah.
I usually
Or
just use
date them.
R1, R2,
Yeah.
R3,
Sure.
whatever.
I love
That is a
Yeah, whatever it is.
fantastic idea.
Yes.
Yep.
No initials. I yell at people that use their own initials.
I'm gonna make the next one pink, and then everybody's gonna know.
Bad
Colleen
experiences.
is something to do with
And the successful one is rainbow.
I think if you open the first one, that is this one. I think.
No, the second one
It is the second one.
The second one is,
is the one with the comments.
because you can see the,
It was supposed to say.
I'll just jump to
but then
11.
when I got
11.
there, it did whatever.
I'm sure
Don't
that-
worry.
So there is no and in
Yeah.
11 here. But if you go to this one, grant agreement, it has the yellow.
that's Ken's.
Can I
And that's
just
what we
make a
wanted-
simple suggestion?
I love that.
Can we take this one that we just agreed on and voted on, and instead of renaming it multiple things, put a date on it, today's date, and this is the one that can be brought to.
Would it be okay if I did that and I sent you one with a different name on it?
Yeah.
That was clear?
Yeah.
And,
I love
okay,
that.
I'll do that.
And then I'll be able to forward it off, and yeah.
Okay, I'll do that, and I'll omit the comment to the one that we're omitting.
Even on the bottom too, right? Version 4/24, whatever today's date is. Well, that's what we'll just start now.
Yeah, just
Starting
do a
now.
date, and then
Yeah.
everyone knows you're supposed to be looking at the latest one.
Yeah, that's how we'll know, because
Okay.
none of them will have dates
So
on it.
I'll change the
Instead
file
of
name
fiscal year,
and I'll
don't
change
say
the
fiscal
actual
year.
headings. I'll change the tops and bottoms so that it's clear when you're looking at the piece of paper.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that, and then I'll forward that, I'll just send that to the whole committee, including yourself.
Yep.
Okay?
Love that.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
And you'll attend the next Affordable Housing Trust so that if there's any questions, you can go back and forth with them.
Yeah, invite me, I'll come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody's invited, by the way.
If I can, I'll come.
Okay. And your meetings are the
It's usually the
Thursday,
it's the
right?
second,
second
generally
Thursday
the second Thursday.
at 7:30?
No, always 7. It used
7.
to be later,
'Cause
but
it
we
seems like
bumped
it's
into
like-
7. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna guess it's gonna be May 8th. It'll be somewhere in there. So don't hold me to it. I'm not the chair, but that's my
Okay.
guess. Okay. Here's that.
Okay, everyone has a hard copy of the flyer. I'm not exactly sure. This was done several years ago. The first comment that I had, well, first of all, the flip isn't right, so we'll fix that. But the photograph,
Something most impressive.
well,
You know, it is.
Colleen said there's probably a better picture of a playground or something that people can relate to.
There should also be two different photos instead of the same thing
And
twice.
I think this maybe was just started as a draft and just kind of,
Stayed
it
there.
never got, because if you look, our address is address.
Yeah.
So I think this was started but never finished.
I'm gonna
Playground
assume-
on the front and maybe the cupola on the inside. That's a
Oh, that's
that's a
good.
recent new one that everybody uses the library or should
I'm gonna
use
Yeah,
in the
just a
library.
shot of the common, if you could.
Oh yeah, that
Oh, yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Because we
what?
spent
Evan gets a,
$651,000 on that.
sure did. Evan gets good drone shots. He might have one or could get one for us to use.
Yes.
That would be nice, just to,
That's high.
And
with all
Or-
the spring stuff popping. That might be good.
my other suggestion, upcoming projects, either strike affordable housing and replace it with the Jim Gallagher,
Yep.
or at least add the Jim Gallagher fund.
It is.
And as far as like some of these graphics, kind of blurry.
Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure
That could
if
be like
that's
a
the
current
way it printed out.
I think that this was probably last updated around 2019 because
That's
when
the year for
chart
the-
was last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it's just, I mean, those
Right,
are
we could
simple
update that
things,
chart.
graphic things.
I
and
could,
what
we could update that
resolution you
chart.
had.
We have a,
It's in the spreadsheet.
the project summary, we'll print that out. It has it at the
Right.
bottom.
So
So-
projects before town meetings in 2 spots on here. Do we want to do that?
I think one of them is specific to open space and recreation projects, and the other one is all, but it still shouldn't probably be there twice.
Shouldn't be duplicated.
Now,
I have a comment about the green bar, where it talks about what is, and not that so no objection to what it says, but I think that we might add at the bottom that Grafton does 1.5%.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
We
think that we should have this be an abridged version rather than what seems to be a just like copy and paste of the actual text?
so
Oh, it's pretty accurate. It's not wordy,
I'm just thinking for like readability.
but it's not wordy. If you can make it worded better, that's one thing. But I think it's succinct.
So I have one thought on this. Seems like there was at least more than a couple changes to make to this flyer. We did initially mention we wanted this flyer to be ready and available for town meeting. We don't have another meeting of CPC before town meeting. I would suggest that at least one person, but at most less than a quorum, communicate with Beth directly and amongst themselves as well to finalize this based on the concerns we talked about today to make a final one bill for town meeting. And I'm
So you can move to charter a few
so
people to
basically
do
a
it,
subcommittee, yes.
a subcommittee to do it, and we accept what
And
they
the
come up
committee,
with.
the committee will
Accept what they come up
yes,
with.
for this town meeting.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
Just to go back to that green bar, I do think having like a little explanation of what CPA is important, but if we're gonna make a distinction with that 3%, we really should with that 100% as well. We haven't seen 100% match in quite
Oh,
some
right.
time.
We haven't seen that in
Right.
ages.
Right. So, again, I think there's probably something right on the preservation website that we can get, and then we just make it more like Grafton, or just provides a match, and then not.
So going into percentages.
So don't even say 20%.
Yeah, don't say any percent. Just says provides a match of the prior year surcharge.
So that kind of implies 100%.
Does
No, it
it?
doesn't.
Okay.
No, it
Up
doesn't.
to
Provides a
up to at
percentage
least
match.
Weasel words it.
But I mean, you're right. Because it's a percent of the prior year surcharge.
Right. So, yeah, I think though that we should say at the bottom that Grafton chose to a surcharge of 1.5%. Simply, Grafton chose a surcharge of 1.5%.
Right, but this did
Just
get
so
brought
that
up.
people don't go away thinking it's 3.
This was brought up on social media recently about the 100%, and some people are really looking at the percentages. And while we're only getting 15% now, if you look back at the numbers, 15% dollar wise today is more than the 100% we
Yeah,
received.
Because of them, yeah.
Than
Right.
it was. Yeah.
So, but that's too much for a handout. So I don't know how we want to word that, but I definitely think that 100% needs to be
How about
reworked.
the state currently the state provides an approximate 15% match.
Or you leave it silent and say, for more information, go to the website.
Yeah, because the percentage is always going to be subject to change
Right.
at some point.
Yeah, or just stop it at
That's what they were.
recreation and
so the
don't say
matches
in
were
addition to.
green.
None of that is important in addition to.
Well, I think
what you
the
what you
fact
said
that
is
we're
not
getting
exactly
additional
true.
bump, that's why we're doing it. It's not just our money, it's the state money that if you didn't pass CPA, you're leaving money on the table. And this is the money that's on the table that people need to know. We wouldn't get that extra 15%.
I have possible word that could be useful.
Okay.
In addition to the revenue generated from the surcharge, the state provides additional funds based on our raised funds, raised amounts.
Prior year surcharge.
The other thing that you
that's
can
good.
do is just put, for example, 2024. This is how much it is.
And then every year we're gonna have to update this,
The
Yeah,
state
that-
contributes funding
which I don't
based
mind
on
doing.
previous.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why I think it should be, and I don't want to put too much work on the potential new subcommittee, but that's why I think it should be a blurb rather than trying to fit it all on there.
So
Right.
I-
I'm just trying to say, what I'm trying to do is get rid of the second half
Yeah.
and just put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Like the together we can get rid of that
122.
sentence.
30.
I'm a big graphic person.
Ooh.
And just like saying, maybe some of the stuff we should be more graphical, and then people don't. It is what it is. You can still interpret it, still have questions.
Right.
But go someplace to have those questions answered.
This isn't supposed to be your one stop, and you've got it all. So we can be a little bit
Yeah.
vague, or not vague, but try and cover.
No, to have a broad summary of
Overview.
what's going on, an overview, that's an overview, you know.
If you wanna name the match in,
When are we
twenty
gonna do this? Is this
twenty-five,
before
last
town
year's
meeting?
match was $122,000.
We need a schedule.
So, is there anything more we want to talk to this as a group today?
Yeah, I think we should talk all of it out tonight
Yeah,
because we're not meeting before town meeting. We're gonna have to schedule a
If you wanna
special
put-
meeting for
right,
this.
now,
What I had suggested earlier is we basically create a subgroup that's not a full quorum to hash this out and finalize it.
Authorized to do that.
Authorize them to do that and to make that decision to have the for town meeting copy.
Okay.
Give them the authority to, how, a persons, or whatever.
Yes.
Lessen quorum.
But if you're people, if you're not that person or persons, if you wanna give input, right now is the time
That's what I'm getting at. Yes.
to say, I really like this, or please
So-
don't include this again.
I just would like the people who are gonna volunteer and support them as much as I can.
The,
Are you running for something?
No. God, no.
the open space resources map, was that Dave Robbins, or where did that get generated from?
Likely David Robbins.
Cause is there a chance that could be updated as well?
Most likely.
I would.
That date.
I mean, we've done a bunch of projects since 2019, so I imagine that has a newer version, and
I would say we've specifically done a lot of open space and recreation projects.
Yep. I
Boost that number.
and do we make the assumption he has time to update it for us, or should we
It's
put,
on the Google.
I was-
not Google, the Excel,
GIS.
like
I was also.
project list that we have.
That's
There's a pie chart.
There's a
on that.
difference. The printout for
You're
the
talking
picture we have right now is the open space resources in Grafton. You're talking the projects.
Yes, my bad.
I think the up-to-date resource graph is also, the map is also in the open space report that we have. That was just
So
finalized.
Fiona would have this.
okay. Just to make sure that's, I mean, you can't
And-
actually read it that well,
I was-
but
I was-
I did
that was
not.
my
I
other thing.
suspect Dave Robbins has it easily available for us if Fiona can't find it easily or get it.
It needs to be legible, or it needs to be out.
yeah. But if we're gonna bump this down and make it over here, this could really take up a whole side and just be its own thing, making it bigger.
And
And maybe not call it the open space resource, or is it just open space that's on there? Oh yeah, it's all just open
That-
space.
I
That's
believe
our
the
open
parks
space.
are on there too.
I think Dave made a map of all of our CPC projects, like where they are throughout the town. I've seen that
Yep.
before.
I think that might also, this time for real, be on that.
Okay,
thing.
that
time,
would
I
be a
swear.
cool one to have, because it encompasses all of what CPA does, not just open space.
Yeah.
And I agree having a larger scale, and I also agree that if you can't read it, don't have it.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Who's going to be on this committee?
Who's interested? Who's a tech,
I will.
PR person?
I will volunteer.
Okay.
I'll buy you coffee the next
Something like a 7
Don't-
p.m. coffee.
Don't worry about it.
let me know, maybe,
you
maybe
want to be
it's
involved
the
in
guy
to
to
give the
I can, yeah,
numbers and stuff.
yeah. Yeah,
So we
we
have
can do it too.
Ken and Jack.
And then I'll be official
John.
or and unofficial, whichever it needs to be.
Ken, Jack, and John.
No, we've got, just to ask a question. Some of the wording that's here, list of active projects before town meeting. That sounds like current. It's implying that, or
This
it's
was
staying
made
at
for
current.
one.
I think doing upcoming is putting ourselves in a bad spot because of the necessary constant updates.
Let's say recent, or
I think
things
we
that
should
we've done.
do. I think we should do current that are like long-standing and maybe past, like big time projects like the Common, like some like parts of the library. Like we should.
Yeah, you know,
Those
our
are-
greatest hits.
Those are things that we don't have to constantly be updating.
Right. In fact, I think it'd be a good idea to make this, work for several years. and
Or
not
you
have to be
could
updated
just-
every meeting.
Oh, I was gonna say the
Every town
previous year, like 2024 project. So we will be updating it annually, but it highlights things like the Eagle Scout project. We don't have to just do the big ones. Like, and it reminds people, oh, they can fund something like that, not just, all of our really big ones, the little ones are important too, so that it gets people thinking.
I agree, but then I would ask right now: is this something we're going to be updating yearly, or is this something we're going to like? I think that's the decision we
Yeah.
have to make before we
And
start
if you're
design.
gonna update it yearly, then make it really easy to update it,
Yes.
meaning like you have a very specific thing on the
That way,
project.
I would say like projects approved at the previous town meeting,
Correct.
and then you could just fill it and empty it
Previous
and fill it.
town meetings.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yes, yeah.
I would ask actually for not a real vote, but like, do we want to make this updated every year, or do we want to make this 5 years?
But do we want to hand it out at every town meeting? That's like the first question asked, because this hasn't been handed out at a town meeting in quite some time. And I think it's nice to have it, but I think most people are not going to be real.
Well, they don't have
And
to
that-
pick it up.
I
People don't have to pick it up if they don't want to.
They don't. I'm a fan of updating it every year and handing it out at the annual town meeting.
So to do it every year.
To do it every year, because it's a lot of work and a lot of money that's going out there, and I think bare minimum of updating something like this is going to get updated and it's going to look great, and then each year just switch a couple
Yeah,
spots.
just have,
It just shows that that's how invested we are in what your money is going towards, and there are going to be people that pick it up. It might be 3, but like it's
No,
just
right,
going to pick it
no.
up.
So I hate to be semantic. At each town meeting,
No, the annual.
Annual.
or the annual?
Only
Okay.
in May.
The annual. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, then we would have a like projects previous or approved at the previous town meeting, and then there would be a current tab, and then maybe a greatest.
So if we're going to do it in May, May 25, I would say 2024's project.
previous
And then
years.
you do May and October's of 2024, and then next May we'll do May and October of 2025, and just do that each year going forward.
Calendar year or fiscal year?
Come on, Beth. Doesn't have to be said.
this is going
It
out
would
to the
have to be
public,
calendar year. Because if it was
Calendar.
fiscal, it would only include.
and then it's
the
what
fall.
fiscal year you're talking about. Is it
What,
the
dude? I
federal
mean,
fiscal
come
year?
on, Beth.
I know it's a town, but
And
it's,
then they're going to throw it out.
right.
But the town report is bifurcated. We talk about
Oh, I see what you did.
what we did in a fiscal
Just-
year, but the
just do the
numbers are
calendar.
at calendar
Yeah.
year.
So
It was
Do the calendar year. I also think the subcommittee should be able to make those
So-
decisions. If you're doing the work, you get to decide.
Yeah.
So I
can yell
move
at you
that the CPC committee authorize Jack, Ken, and John to work together along with staff on finalizing this flyer based on discussions tonight and any new appropriate decisions they may make along with the flyer to be presented at May town meeting this year.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to create the committee. All those in favor? Any discussion?
My one question is, so we're not going to review it before town meeting. We're just going to let the subcommittee handle it.
Yes.
We can. I don't know.
Yeah,
'Cause is
Want to
it,
be on it?
I can,
there's a you have
I
to,
kind of do, but I have so much on my plate.
I'd like to delegate that responsibility.
Well, John,
you-
you're.
No, I'm just saying
I-
that I need to ask. I need clarification for you to put it in a packet or for us to see it. There has to be an agenda, right?
I,
for everybody, yeah.
the
Right?
way the
Would
way
I
I
be-
envision this
I'm not
working,
sure.
the way I envision this working, is once the subcommittee says this is the one we want to do, it can go up on the town website. Everyone can have a link to it. Everyone can see it even before town meeting, but it's also completely public at that point.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you.
You're having Okay. Okay.
That's
if
only
we
two
have to
people.
And if
meet
and you
and
want me
And
to
I
be
won't
on it,
say
Colleen,
no.
I can amend my motion. Even you don't have to.
No,
do
no,
the
no,
kind of work.
no, no,
You can be
no, no, no. I got a lot going on.
So
Lot
we will
going
put
on.
it on the CPC website, like as a
Yeah.
tab
on
or
the,
link or whatever you
blue side.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
whatever you call it.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor?
I
All those opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. Okay. Project updates. Actually, you did mention that. I didn't write that on there. You, as a, or Beth purchased with the assistant help of our IT, Jonathan, recommended a laptop and a printer and got it set up last
Big
week,
printer.
so
Oh, one of those
Still-
big ones.
working out the bugs. So, but I think is everything working okay? I mean,
It is, and even though he told me the printer could not become wireless, it is.
I thought everything was wireless.
That's what I asked for, and I asked for a smaller one, not the one with the long cartridges.
She got a
I
elephant
ended
size.
up with a pretty good size.
Can it at least do everything?
It can do everything. It can even talk to you. In fact, it did talk to me. I was in bed one night. And
Oh, that's
heard
getting
his voice,
graphic.
And I'm like,
It's like, turn me
Okay.
off.
I laughed. My wife laughed. The toaster laughed.
yeah, I'm like, okay.
Okay, so that's
exciting.
so we're up to speed with Beth and getting that equipment situation settled. Paul is not here and he's sick, and I did not ask him when he said he couldn't come if he had an update. So I would think that he does not have an update because he's usually pretty good about sharing. If he had something, I think he would have sent me something. Historic gravestones. I actually have. There's a wrinkle that I was at the Cape this weekend, and in Chatham on their town warrant, they had that they're going to use CPC money to do some historic gravestones. So I've reached out to their person to give me another option to try to see if we can't chase down somebody that can get this done this summer.
That'd be nice.
So, and also reached out to Harwich, is where the sign is. So those two, I'm kind of waiting to see if I can get some information. But they were spending, I don't know, $50,000 or $100,000 to
On
do a lot
one
of.
stone?
Well, it's for the grave, the whole graveyard to do some additional, significant work.
Did you go to their town meeting?
No,
Oh.
they send a book. It's this
Sweet.
thick. It was I was like so impressed, that it's up. It's like our town report.
Yeah.
Only it's their warrant.
That's cool.
It's just for warrants. But they have the money to spend, But it was very, very nice, very impressive. And it has in there the votes as each committee, like how the selectmen voted on it, because everybody gets to vote, I guess, there. Whereas our selectmen don't vote on warrant articles.
Right.
It's only finance committee that makes recommendations, but it has the 3 votes, CPC, selectmen, and finance committee for each warrant article.
That's sweet.
Or at least, the CPC ones. But I thought that was pretty, and it gives you, all the narrative of why it's important and, quite a bit of information, so. 95 North Street, Kristen's not here.
I haven't had to approve a invoice for a little while.
Anything new?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually read the agenda ahead of time, said, oh, I'll reach out to Leah. That did not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well intentioned.
Yeah, I looked at it at least. It made me happy that I looked at it.
Grafton Housing Authority, Gallagher rental assistance.
I have a couple updates. All of the requested funds from last month have been received,
Because I think there were 4.
and we got all of those checks in. This coming month, there are going to be several emergency move-ins made possible by this fund.
Good.
Because previously, you'd get to the top of the list, be approved, but they've been staying in a shelter. They don't have the first months. But now we have a program to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we're actually able to lessen our emergency list, which is good. And also, I am currently working with the state. We just put out they make us do a year report every single year, and it's like 95% format. There's very little input information, but they keep track of past policies, and it's past policies that the state recognizes. So although we passed a town GHA policy regarding how the housing authority is to work with the Jim Gallagher rental assistance funds, they didn't really recognize it. So I'm working with the state to get it officially recognized, which would make it a program that other towns could more easily adopt themselves. If they have a housing authority, which almost all do, and a CPC, they could just copy the language and throw it on their own and go to town meeting with it.
Very cool.
That's
So-
good.
Would other towns get to have to call it Jim Gallagher's?
But sure.
That'd be something.
See, that's my
He would like that.
He would.
Oh yeah. Let's get
He'd
this
be
statement.
very happy that this is being utilized. Cisco Homestead.
So yes, I reached out to Ray, and short answer, the material that we've seen is for another project. It's not for ours.
Okay.
They do have a contractor that they've identified through the bidding process. Cornerstone Constructor / Mike Batson is how she wrote it. Batson. But the work won't begin until sometime in June. And that she told me she'll make a note to update us when work begins.
Good. Okay, because I know Beth keeps saying, "Oh, I see trucks there." I see.
Well, I
cars."
won't anymore.
Well,
Now I'm on
when she drove
290.
that way. She saw that there was activity. This next one is also all but
But that's on hold until town
right.
meeting.
It's right. Nothing's happened on that yet. The lift again that's Paul, and I haven't heard anything. He hasn't said anything more about where they stand on that. And then baseline, Ken.
Upton Street.
Working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, the land trust is is working on the conservation restriction as well,
Okay.
which is not a funded thing, but they're trying to combine the three into one. There's three properties that are all adjacent that happened in slightly different years, that all came from the same place, and they're all pretty much the same. And they're trying to combine the conservation restriction into one for all of them.
That should be
But the
fairly
baseline's
easy.
still appropriate for the new purchase.
But that should be pretty easily.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Okay.
Should be easy.
I
Should be easy. Yes,
just lines on a plan.
should be easy. It really depends on that 5-letter acronym organization that we just.
EOH.
Well, actually,
EUHLC.
not the Equal Opportunity Housing, but the conservation version of it. So if it's easy, we'll do it.
Okay. How about an update from the housing trust?
So they voted on the grant agreement and
We're close.
Yeah.
We're so close.
so close. We had somebody come in from 25 Worcester Street and gave an update. Andy Howarth, I believe his name was. I know it's Andy for sure. Sorry if I got your last name wrong. He's super into it. He's just fun to listen to. He's really into it. It's gonna take a while. That project has to go before the state a couple times before it gets approved. But he seemed very optimistic, and specifically citing that they really like what Grafton's doing with their affordable housing. So that's good. We had an update for 1727 Upton, and they seem to think that they're going to be doing a groundbreaking ceremony pretty soon, and they want to potentially adjust the grant agreement, which that kind of, I don't know. I can't speak for the trust, but I can speak for myself. That surprised me to hear. So we'll see where that goes. That
So
nothing,
you have an agreement with them in terms of how you're providing the dollars that.
right? There might be asking
coming.
for more than the $1.8 million. So they still haven't used all that $1.8 million. So that's confusing to me why they'd even ask for more. Yes.
Yeah, they've got all that money, but we haven't seen them break ground yet.
Right. So the trust didn't really weigh in on it. It kind of slid in, and so that's going to be going forward. But I can tell you myself as a member, I was surprised to hear that. So I don't really have any more update on that. But I guess we'll just obviously I'll keep you guys informed.
So 1.8 just soft cost, or is it?
That's
hard?
what it's for. Soft cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a question, I seem to remember that there was some kind of important agreement that hadn't quite been signed yet, like
P&S.
the purchase, yes. And so all this money, certainly, people have commented before that all this money has been spent, but that one agreement that hasn't been signed yet. It's not a grant agreement, it's the purchase and sale agreement.
Right.
the grant agreement's gonna come later with them, but,
No, it's
No,
already,
the grant
this is- they've
agreement's
already been
active and
getting-
going.
oh, okay, they're,
They've-
right,
they've-
my mistake.
Withdrew probably about half of the 1.8 at
Right,
this
so,
point.
but the question is,
Little more
the
than
question is about the purchase and sale agreement.
Right, and that's before the select board. That's not really anything.
But
to
I
do with
think
Affordable
they
Housing Trust.
gave them a 1-year extension.
They did.
So
Yes, very
And
recently.
when's that, you know, when was that, a year ago, or was
No,
that?
No, the
they
1-year
just
extension happened in like
extended it.
March.
Just, in March, okay.
So, just curiosity, do they submit certain information, so based on, what they're, getting, the amount of money they're using is associated with a level of design and investigation, and is there like check-ins on when they hit SD, DD, CDs, and permitting thresholds?
So every draw request comes with information of what that funding's going towards. And then the most recent meeting we had, I mean, I could pull it up on my phone, but like a timeline of what they're thinking is gonna be happening, if that's.
I guess what
those
my
acronyms.
sort of what I'm thinking of is usually you get documents, and those documents are the design documents or the.
No, I have not seen any design
Oh,
documents.
and I'm only saying this only because I know how we typically work. That it's a budget you get. As the design team goes, we all have our own schedules, but we have to basically prepare information at each level that you go through.
Right, so, and maybe I misspoke a little bit, I have seen designs, but I saw them presented at the planning board hearings.
Okay.
Right, so they exist,
Gotcha.
but I haven't,
I'm just wondering to
Right.
document
Yeah.
the what's being done, that you're getting something. I'm just
I
curious.
think what I'm hearing you say, which is what I'm agreeing in curiosity, is besides them telling you what they're using the funds for, have they given you any evidence that the funds have been used toward that actual endeavor and giving a result?
not that I've seen.
I mean, a simple one is you would be doing a geotech report, and that's going to cost you $150,000, whatever it is.
And then get a copy of that report.
You get a copy of that stamped report.
Right.
That's where the picky stuff comes in. That you want it endorsed by a professional engineer. The same thing with
Especially if they're going to be asking you for more money than what you already agreed
They should be able to explain
you
their
probably
progress.
want to have the evidence that what you've already paid out that they've said they're using money for
right.
is having the outcomes that they're
That you
saying
ha-
they're.
and that you have it in hand that if
Yes.
something happens, you can use it again.
Yep.
Because once it's complete, it's a document that can be used.
Yeah.
And stuff. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not familiar with that
And
process.
They
that's all.
may, it'd be nice to also, if they can, add more value to what is being purchased.
Right, right.
If they can sweeten the value that the town gets.
Did they say that? Like, if we ask for more money, we're gonna do this?
They didn't, no, it wasn't stated that way. So they found contamination, right? And that wasn't in the initial RFP, but it was kind of like
Oh
an
my
at your risk. So,
goodness.
right, and we kind of knew that.
Contamination at the DPW
Right.
stuff too.
They knew, but they
So-
knew that.
Conservation
Right, so there's a little bit of that going on. So there's a number of $230,000 that kind of got floated out there, and
Oh, yeah.
so again, there's way further discussions that have to happen. They didn't say we want $230,000 because of contamination, but they did say we found this. It's going to cost us this. And by the way, we're thinking about, and it was kind of what?
That
Yeah,
information's record. That's state
Right.
and
Right.
stuff.
right. So
And- If they try to say they need money because of contamination, I would suggest a review of the planning board minutes and or videos, because I'm pretty sure that Bob Hassinger made a point to say this is likely to have contamination. Is this a problem for you guys? That's what our studies are going to do. We're taking on that risk. We understand it. I'm pretty sure something like that was said.
yeah, and I believe even the RFP that they replied to originally, it stated that the site was an old highway barn and that, testing hadn't been done, but this was an old highway barn.
But it's been identified under 21E, but the full testing program hadn't been done. They hadn't identified. Yeah, that's pretty standard. You usually know. I mean, you usually have a good idea based on the use and stuff.
Right.
But
Just not to scare you, but we probably spent at least $1 million cleaning up what was supposed to be pretty clean, the library.
Oh, I know, because you guys found a
A
bunch of
million.
tanks that didn't.
Well, they
Yeah.
found tanks, but then it was also, we couldn't dewater it,
Mm-hmm.
and it kept raining. It was in April, and we had all that rain, and there was nowhere to dewater it, so you had to pay the full freight you were paying for water that we had to haul to Western Mass to dump. And it was like, there's 3 different levels of contamination, and there wasn't much of the bad, maybe none.
Yeah.
But it just because it was,
There's equipment on the site now,
and
so
that
that,
wasn't really, we were very fortunate. We had $2 million under what we were given by the town.
yeah.
That got quickly eaten up by just that.
It's just that right now, all the construction costs are going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, no one knows what's happening.
And interest too, it's
A lot
much
of
higher than they
uncertainty.
Yeah,
thought.
that's the best way to say uncertainty and yeah,
And labor costs, everything's going up.
it's, yeah. Supply chain availability, where something's coming from, it's all over the place.
Anything else?
But I feel like that was a good amount.
Okay. Yep, the signs, reaching out for Harwich, for the CPA signs to get more information from them on vendors. And, because I have seen, and I did see other places that had the vinyl signs that you put in a stake, and invariably those things are crooked and wobbly, and it looks bad, you can't read them. So these little, that aren't too terribly big, but to me they made a good impact. And then the last is the Lake Wildwood. Still, it's kind of in limbo until the legal issues get resolved with the family members. So not on here, but just kind of an update for town meeting. I did reach out and to ask, and I said I would send her the updated Dawn, the version of this,
Oh,
because
okay,
she'll want to most likely see it.
Yep.
And then I said 2 minutes to speak. That I would speak 2
That'll
minutes.
fly by.
That's it.
It's never 2 minutes is never enough time.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
And it's still.
Do you have more to say?
I said no. I don't have any more to say. I just don't want to leave.
Oh.
And it's because it's early. It's still
Well, you voted down.
52, 42.
Patriots on their
Never
clock.
heard